Hey gamers, it's Hua's Phone, and we're back again today to film what I believe is part 6 of my Dark Souls playthrough. Thanks again to everybody that's showing me support on Tumblr and YouTube. I appreciate it a lot. I don't really know what we're going to be doing in today's episode as far as like the exploration of depths goes. We're probably just going to be going through the usual route I take, and then if we have time after that, I'll show you like alternate routes or intended routes, etc., etc. We're going to try to explore as much as we can. Before we get started today, we're going to restore our humanity, because there are a couple interactions that we want to be able to make that require us to be in human form. The first of which is an NPC invasion that we'll see a little bit later on with the first Darkwraith NPC that we actually managed to come in contact with, so that's cool. We leveled up last time, we made it to the depths, we got Havel's Ring. I think we can actually wear the chain armor now and have our fast roll, but I like the look of the black leather set with the Thief's Hood better, so I think I'm just going to keep rocking that. What else can we do? You know what, I might as well kindle this bonfire. We got humanity left over. I don't really think I'm going to need it though. The boss for this area is like pretty ridiculously easy, and hopefully I didn't jinx myself by saying that. But you'll remember we got to this bonfire at the end of the last video, and this is how you start going through the depths. You'll see this huge rat down here, who we will be fighting later. He's another kind of mini boss. There are 3 or so that you can think of as mini bosses in this zone. One of them is the NPC invader, one of them is this big rat, and then one of them kind of is the channeler. So this door doesn't open here. We'll see where it opens from. That shortcut's actually pretty useful for farming. Okay. So come up here on a corridor, and you can already see how many rats there are over here. Ooh, man, he dodged me. So rats are going to be a big feature of the depths. Not so much in Blighttown, interestingly enough, but I guess with so many dead bodies down here, it makes sense. Get on, idiot. Oh, wait. Ugh! I've been had. Okay. Over here's the Great Axe, which is not a weapon we're going to be using. 140 base damage. C scaling in strength, which isn't too bad. E in dexterity. It requires 32 strength. We're going to have enough strength to wield that at some point, but I don't really like the Great Axe class weapons. They're kind of clunky. This Great Axe is a veritable mass of iron. Its weight sends foes flying, but it makes it difficult to handle without inhuman strength. Any miss makes one very vulnerable, as each swing requires the full force of the body. So that kind of missed hits make you more vulnerable thing is shared between this and the halberd class weapons. So you'll also be ambushed at certain points by rats that are going to jump out of the boxes. I don't exactly remember how you can tell which ones it is, but that little rat that you saw run by earlier might have been one of the ways. Most of these guys don't attack you on sight, which is kind of nice, because they do inflict poison as all of the other rats do. And we get the sewer chamber key. Open the sewer chamber in the depths. Key to the sewer chamber in the depths. In any community, a few bad apples are sure to exhibit. Insatiable greed. If they were turned undead and banished to the depths, would they reconsider their ways? Use this key to see for yourself. That's pretty ominous. So we can see that the depths is kind of more or less a garbage disposal area for Lordran. So I guess criminals or other unsavory individuals are sent down here to be reformed in however way they see fit. But we will see that going forward. You can see that there's a lot of dead bodies in here though, and these kind of weird like growths on the wall. It's a creepy area. Probably not the best one to have a weapon that does horizontal swings, because you'll hit into the walls here, and then you can ricochet off. So vertical swings are the best. Miracles, spells, and pyromancies are pretty good too. And you'll see that there are, so there are some traps here. And these, I think, all will lead you down into where the basilisks are. And we're going to see them, but not right now. We have some stuff to accomplish before then. Here's a Soul of a Nameless Soldier. And then a Fog Gate. Now you'll notice that because the depth is a subterranean area, we're actually going to start off on top and then make our way down farther. And this is one of the first ways to do it. If you fall through that trap down there at the bottom, you can do it as well. And here's that channeler I was talking about. This guy's actually a pretty important enemy for you to kill because he can't interfere with the boss if you don't kill him now. But he also has a few guards, which make getting up to him kind of difficult, especially if he runs up here and tries to come up on us. So we'll try to aggro these guys one at a time if we can, because they hurt. They hurt pretty bad. Come on. Okay. Nice, got one of them. Don't remember if they can be staggered. Doesn't matter though. I don't know if these guys can be aggroed separately. We're about to find out. Oh, I guess not. Oh god. Yeah, that attack's pretty dangerous. I really don't like the rat enemies, or really most of the beast enemies. Fast attacks are pretty brutal. They can drop humanity just like regular rats though. And with them out of the way, it makes taking out the channeler a lot easier. Although he is still buffed with his damage buff, so we don't want to get too comfortable. Oh, you saw his kind of, not special attack, but he hits you multiple times with each hit with that thrusting attack. And when he has that damage buff on, holy shit, does that hurt. But he doesn't have a lot of health. 3 two-handed swings were enough to take him out. That's nice. You can see one of those damage buffed rats got aggroed from further on. There are a couple that are going to jump at us from these boxes. But they're pushovers, really. Can't remember if there's items over here, but we can check them out. I think there might be. Yeah. Large Titanite Shard. Kind of useful. I think right now we need regular Titanite Shards more than large Titanite Shards, though. We can buy those from Andre. And we probably will, because we definitely want this to get upgraded. Come on. You see that the armor makes a pretty big difference. These guys were kind of wrecking us earlier. We're not going to follow that rat down there. He tries to lead us into one of the pitfall traps. Instead, we are going to hit our friend, the slime here, and then head this way. If I remember correctly, I think this is the correct path to take to fight that rat mini-boss. It's kind of annoying to fight in straight-up combat, because he still has the fast attacks of the rats, but he also hits like a truck, and can poison, and has a lot of hit points, so really it's a nightmare. Go ahead and make that kind of awkward jump, and you'll see that guy backing up from us again, because they don't want to fight us, they want to lead us into these traps. So up here is that rat boss room, and he aggroes as soon as you step into this room. And he moves fast. He can't hit you through this wall, so if you're fighting him, you gotta be careful for that. He has a couple of attacks that are pretty annoying too. He's not doing what we want him to do, though. Uh-oh. You wanted to get him like right up here on this doorway, and then try to hit him with attacks when his head's up there. Come on, dude. Get over here. But you gotta be careful, because he can clip through that wall as well. If you have 100% block shield with good stability, it can be a little bit easier to take this guy out in normal combat, but his fast attacks make it a little bit harder. And if you are out of range, he'll just walk all the way back. Not immune to poison, I believe, so that's one way you can take him down if you get up above him. The way to do that is by heading through that chute that we saw with the butcher a little bit earlier. And you can do plunging attacks too, but then that kind of brings you into if you don't kill him in one shot with that plunging attack, you're going to be in this room with him with kind of no way out unless you already know about this area. It's mostly a battle of patience and trying to get the angle right. This fucker does not want to cooperate with us. Come on, man. Help us out here. Alright. So he's non-respawning. Drops humanity. Over here, find a soul of a nameless soldier. You can see that treasure up there we can get by dropping down from somewhere. I forget which spot exactly, but we can explore that later. This is where we got the sewer key from, so that's cool. And then usually I use this path to kind of go down there to the boss area, but in the interest of kind of showing a more complete way to run through this level, I'll skip that for now. Amen. Don't run away. Alright. You can... Let's see, can you hear the basilisks? Sometimes you can hear them do their croaking sound, and that's how you know you're getting close. For some reason, these rats can walk right over these, which I think is kind of funny. But in order for us to be able to jump over, we have to kill him. And this leads us back up here to the beginning of the level. So kind of the intended way is either to go down there and fight the big rat, or drop down one of these. And I think we're just gonna... I think we might just drop down. So here are the basilisk enemies. God, these guys are assholes. They inflict curse, which is one of the more frustrating status effects because of how it interacts with your character. Unlike the other status effects of bleed and poison and toxic, curse actually has a smaller bar, and then it persists through death. So that means when you get cursed, it causes instant death, and then it, I think, halves your current HP total. And in order to counteract that, you need to get a purging stone. And I think that's the only way. Purging stones are really expensive too, as we saw earlier. I think these little rats are the dudes that show which, oh god, which boxes are ambush boxes. Dark Spirit, Knight Kirk has invaded. So this is the first Darkwraith NPC that we're going to see. Kirk, the Knight of Thorns. Pretty wicked looking guy. Not... I don't want to fight him with these big ass rats here. He's not super dangerous on his own, but see, getting comboed like that is pretty dangerous. We'll see if we can get him to stagger so that we can drink. Ow, man. Asshole. I think my controller's kind of messing up. I'm doing some of these button presses and they are not going through. Because he fat rolls, and his weapon doesn't have very much reach, he's not super dangerous. Although, you saw right there, if he rolls and hits you with his armor, or hits into you as he rolls, he actually will damage you. That's the special effect of the Armor of Thorns. You can get this later, I believe if you beat him in all three of the locations that he invades you in. This one, pretty easy to deal with because it's an open area, and if you've killed the rats before he shows up, he's kind of a pushover. One thing to note is that the other two areas he invades you are not as good to fight him in, and we're going to see that once we make it into the Demon Ruins. So we acquire some humanity from his blood, and then we get the barbed straight sword. That's pretty cool. I really do like his armor and his weapons. Barbed straight sword. Regular thrusting sword. Physical damage of 80, D-scaling with both strength and dexterity. It's got 100 critical rating. Not a dagger. Weighs 3 pounds, pretty good. The requirements to wield it aren't very bad either, and it has a bleed effect. The choice weapon of the infamous Darkwraith Kirk, also known as the Knight of Thorns, for the gnarly spikes on his favorite weapon. This frightful sword deals only thrust attacks and causes heavy bleeding. An interesting looking sword, but it doesn't deal only thrust attacks. I don't know why that's actually in the description. But it's an okay weapon. Not great. If you're doing some sort of cosplay or cos PvP builds, it can be a cool set to use. One of these boxes has an ambush, I think. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering. We'll deal with this rat here and then head up. We actually managed to skip by most of the basilisks, which is nice. I'll try and backtrack in a little bit after I open up the shortcut. This room up here, that's actually where we fought that rat mini-boss. And then this is kind of the area that leads both the Blight Town and then the area boss for the depths. This big staircase opens the door that I said we'd get to earlier. And that leads you back to the bonfire, which is right up this ladder. Pretty useful shortcut. Before we do that, I'm going to go show you guys the basilisks. I'm not going to get cursed though, because that would put a big damper on our run. Man, curses are a real hassle to deal with, especially early in the game when souls are kind of at a premium. You really don't want to be wasting 5,000 or however many it is on curse stones. Purging stones, not curse stones. Where are you guys? Yeah, these ugly looking dudes are basilisks. Those aren't their eyes. I think those might be what they drop. I know that they can drop Eyes of Death, which are the Covenant items for the Darkwraiths, which is cool. That's one thing that I really, really liked about Dark Souls. It's a game that has online PvP, but doesn't force you to do that to do game completion. You can farm the Covenant items from different places, like the Sunlight Maggots and the Demon Ruins can be farmed for Sunlight Metals. These things can be farmed for Eyes of Death. That's pretty good. I don't want to backtrack into more of these guys. So that cloud there is their attack, and if you stand in it, it will inflict curse steadily on you. When your bar fills all the way up, that's when you'll die, and then you'll turn into one of those statues that we actually just destroyed. So those spiky black statues are other players that have been cursed. Oh, nice. So yeah, just dropped an Eye of Death. That's cool. I don't know if they're in here. Yeah, they are. Lure phantoms from other worlds. Online play items. Lure phantoms from other worlds. Only Covenanter can use this item, while Hollows cannot. The dreadful Eyes of Death spread disaster across neighboring worlds. Phantoms lured to the host world may end up as victims, allowing the Eyes of Death to multiply, and leading to further proliferation of Bane. The Eyes of Death, as I said before, Darkwraith Covenant item that allows for it's kind of a reverse PvP. The Darkwraiths are kind of a unique Covenant in that. Or I think, not Darkwraiths, it's the Gravelord's Servant items. So they engage in reverse PvP, and what that means is that they will place down their mark somewhere in the level using an Eye of Death, and then that mark will affect players' worlds that are in their level range. A certain group of players, I think 2 or 3 at max. And it will make enemies harder. It'll make them hit harder, have more health, more defense, all that stuff. So the only way to get rid of that mark is to find where they place down their sign, and then reverse invade them and kill them. If the host invades and then, I say host, if the victim of the curse invades and dies, then the Darkwraith gets an Eye of Death. So they can kind of continue doing this as long as they're good at what they do. And if you're out of Eyes of Death, you can come down here and farm from these guys. You also need to turn them in, I think, in order to advance the Gravelord Servant Covenant. one thing you want to do is not fight these guys as a group. Like, if you can avoid it, just don't. Unless you have some curse-resistant gear. Because I think that their clouds do stack, which can be very deadly very quick. Taking them one at a time is the intended approach, but depending on where you fall down, that might not be an option. So if you have to try running past into an open area, like this is one of the areas I think you can fall down, and then you'll be fighting 3 of them right off the bat, which is not fun. There are 2 ways to get to this area. One is just by walking down here through that entrance, and the other is by falling up there, which you're going to see in a minute. I wish these guys would come through the doors so we can kill them, though. Go. This spewing a lot of clouds. I don't remember how big the hitbox for the clouds is either, or the effect range. I think it's fairly large, though. Come on, man. You'll see we started getting that curse effect right there. And the curse bar starts off really small until you get more curse-resistant gear. The blood shield is good for curse resistance. Off the top of my head, I don't remember where you get the blood shield, but we'll see it. Alright, up here. Oh god. So yeah, if you fall down here, that's another way to get to that room. Up here is another dead drop and an item. These corner jumps are kind of harder to make. Get a humanity from that body. And then we'll head down here. Poor dude. Ring of the Evil Eye. I don't really use this ring very often. I don't know how much how much use you can actually get out of it. It absorbs HP from fallen enemies, so killing enemies restores a really small amount of HP. It can be useful kind of to offset swing effects from like the Chaos Blade and stuff, and it can stack with the Man-Eater's Cleaver that we're going to see later, which has a similar effect. So it could be useful if you stack it with similar effects. According to legend, this ring contains the spirit of the Evil Eye, a dark beast which assaulted Astora. The strength of the Evil Eye does not waver, and HP is absorbed from fallen enemies. Because that is more useful for us right now than the Blue Eye, or Blue Tear Stone Ring, I guess we'll just use that. And that about does it for the Darkwraith. God. I'm misspeaking a lot in today's video, I don't know why. That does it for the Basilisk area. So we head over this way. Oh, somebody else got cursed while we were there. That's cool. But we're done. We can go fight the boss. We're probably not going to need more than 3 Estus charges to fight him, because his attacks are really either they kill you or you dodge them. So we shouldn't need to rest. You'll see a summon sign here. An interesting place for the summon sign. If you want it to have the best chances of getting summoned, you should probably put it at the beginning of the level rather than the end, or at the boss, depending on what boss it is. Because most people don't need help with just the boss. If they need help at all, they need help with the entire level. Come on, you fucking asshole. Alright. Before we go ahead and fight the Gaping Dragon, we're going to talk to an interesting merchant, Domnhall of Zena.
Aye, Shemai, and good day to you. I'm Domnhall of Zena. I'm just a peddler of sorts. I adore trinkets and oddities, so I trade for them.
He does sell some rare equipment. He's another vendor that carries the bottomless box, which you may as well buy now to kind of clear up our inventory from clutter as we go on. Excuse me. Yeah, still sick, not fun. He also sells gold pine resin, which is pretty useful for this next boss, because it's a dragon family boss, and it speeds up the fight quite a bit. He sells 3 crystal weapons, the crystal straight sword, crystal great sword, and crystal shield. These weapons are kind of unique, because you'll see that their durability is exceptionally low, 60 for that, for these two, and then 250 for the crystal shield. It's very low because they're very powerful weapons, but they cannot be repaired. So they're of kind of dubious worth. Some people like using them because they speed up some of the other areas of the game. And they're good temporary weapons, I guess, if you want to save one weapon for later and you're are still busy upgrading it. I personally don't use them. If they break at the wrong time, it kind of puts you up the creek without a paddle. Fully crystallized straight sword. How such a weapon was created is entirely unknown. The crystallization boosts its attack, but makes the blade brittle. The sword cannot be used for long as it cannot be repaired. I think you can upgrade these, and that's the only way that they can be repaired. Same thing goes for any crystal weapon. I think the greatsword has the same description. This is the shield. He also sells arrows and bolts, and he also sells his armor set. This vendor, after he moves to his second location, will start selling boss armor sets as well, and we're going to see that as we go forward. But we don't want to buy any of these right now. We can buy some of them later. His armor set's kind of weird. That helmet's kind of weird with its spectacles. He teaches you the joy gesture, and I don't know if he talks to you before you buy something from him. I think he has locked dialogue until you buy a piece of equipment from him.
Well, I'm certain we will make a good trade eventually. So I am willing to share some tips. If you see kindling in the catacombs, use divine weapons. That will repair the reassembling skeletons.
That's a very useful tip. And before now, you're probably not going to be going down in the catacombs if it's not by accident. So this tip can be very useful to keep in mind going forward.
I'm afraid I don't see anything here.
So that's the dialogue he gives you when you haven't bought anything and you try to talk to him. We'll buy a single pine resin and see if that changes it. Well, what an asshole.
Well, that is a shame. But no matter. No, not to worry. Come back again. I'm always available. Not every trade was meant to be. There'll be more in store for us. Someday. Sometime.
Yeah, very money-minded dude. He will move, I think, either after you beat the Gaping Dragon or after you beat Quolag. And he moves to that Underbridge Aqueduct area of Firelink Shrine. Weird place to go, but he's kind of a weird dude. Up here is the boss area for the Gaping Dragon. Big boss area, because he's a pretty big boss. And he makes the room feel pretty small, too. Up there is part of the depths that we've already cleared before. That is where the channeler is found. So if you don't kill him earlier on in the level, he stands up there and he'll shoot down soul arrows at you, which can make an otherwise easy boss kind of a chore. There's an item either over here on this level or the next level. I think it might be the next level. I think he has it's a crossbow. Not very useful for the boss. The ranged weapons don't deal a whole lot of damage at this point in the game, probably. And the crossbows aren't that great of a ranged weapon anyway. We have Solaire's summon sign here. I thought you could summon Loudtrick for this fight. Yeah, actually, I think this is Loudtrick's summon sign. So, when Loudtrick left the undead... When Loudtrick left Firelink Shrine, he came down here to the depths. It seems that Solaire has beat us here as well. We don't know if he's cleared the boss yet, or if he is helping us first. But this is the first time we've seen Loudtrick's summon sign, because I missed it in the Undead Chapel. He wields those two weird weapons. They're called shuttles, and they have unique effects of being able to sneak damage past shields. That's kind of what their interesting looking design is for. We're not going to summon either of them because frankly they make this boss harder than it has to be. And not hard because of any sort of like real challenge, but hard because he gets more health and he already has a shitload of health. His attacks aren't very hard to dodge, and he has a couple really easily baitable ones. But we don't want to drag this out any longer than it has to be, because it's already kind of a boring fight. And this is the Gaping Dragon making his appearance. So like I said, he makes this area feel small. You want to avoid all the attacks where he stays upright. So you can pick up the standard armor here. That's the attack you want to bait. When he crashes into the ground, very soon after that, he's going to start walking. And that deals damage if it hits you. We're going to apply gold pine resin while he's still up. Come on. You want to watch out for that dropping attack that can insta-kill you. Sometimes he'll fly up and use his wings, or what remain of them, to do that jumping attack. He'll do some swipes with his good hands. He'll do a tail swipe if you're behind him. So, you're going to start walking, you asshole. Definitely want to avoid that. Tail swipe does a lot of damage. Come on, start walking. Alright. This is another dragon enemy that you can cut off the tail of, which we're going to attempt to do here. But we kind of don't have the best weapon for it. The Zweihander would be better. There we go. Dragon King Great Axe. We'll examine that after the fight. And cutting off his tail also has the added bonus of removing that tail swipe attack from his arsenal. You'll still use it, but it won't do anything because obviously he doesn't have it anymore. And so bait out that ground slam attack, and then after he stops moving, that's when you're going to get the majority of your damage in. Because of how often he stops moving and kind of how wonky his attacks are, it makes it pretty easy to hit him with spells and stuff. But you can see we aren't doing a whole lot of damage to him with our normal unbuffed attacks. So we're going to apply lightning. Let's see if that can help us do this a little bit quicker. It's really a battle more of patience than anything else, as a lot of the bigger bosses are with the higher health pools. But that kind of balances out because he's not like a strong boss. You're going to want to get out of his range as fast as possible after he gets up, because his attacks at close range are way more dangerous than this one. He'll probably insta-kill you if he hits you with any of those attacks as well. And obviously, they can't be blocked. I think the only block that, or the only attack that can be blocked is his swipes, and they still take off a lot of stamina damage. The reason that I choose to do this boss more often than not is because of the souls it drops. It's basically like if you do the boss fight right, it's free souls. Pine resin obviously speeds it up a lot. You can use any sort of buff that does AoE damage along with slamming the ground. That little attack there. We'll rebuff. We're about halfway done. His attack patterns don't change, so you can rest assured that this strategy is going to work the entire boss fight. You don't want to be far enough away from him so that he'll jump, because it can be kind of hard to track with how far up he goes to the ceiling. You can break these pillars. That's a cool little effect. I always thought environment damage in the Souls game was a cool touch. It added to the immersion. It made the bosses feel as big as they look. Yeah, so we tried to tail swipe us there, that idiot. I think 2 more attacks should probably do it for us, as long as our pine resin doesn't run out in the middle of our attacking. Otherwise, maybe 3. Nice. Okay. You might be tempted to get greedy because of how slow his attacks are, but like with any boss in this series, getting greedy is the primary way to get yourself killed. You just want to keep it simple. Don't try to do anything more than what you've been doing the entire fight. You don't want to try and press Sometimes he doesn't do that walking attack. In which case, just put a little bit of distance between him, and then try and bait it out again. If you're just outside the range for his little ground slam, that's usually when he's going to use that attack. Whether you're right inside it or just outside it. And this should be the last one. There we go. Easy boss. Kind of just got to grind him down. Sometimes he's not going to use the right attacks, and that's kind of frustrating. He drops the Blighttown key, Twin Humanity is a Homeward Bone, and you can find that standard set on this body over here. He's got a really cool boss room, though. You want to note that if you get over here, you can fall off the side if you go over there. So try to keep yourself positioned towards the fortress. Another reason not to summon Solaire and Lautrec is because they're going to die more often than not. They don't bait out the attacks, they just they stand there and they hack away at him. And he does a lot of damage to him too. The one thing it is useful for is when summoning Solaire, if you can manage to keep him alive the entire fight, you'll get a Sunlight Medal out of it. And that's one way to get all of the Sunlight Medals without playing online. I think there are 8 guaranteed ones you can get from drops. Not from drops, from bodies, NPC interactions, and otherwise, static locations for them. You get 1 from Lautrec when you summon him, or when you free him. You get a maximum of 4 if you summon Solaire and keep him alive for all of his fights. And then you get 2 from chests, or 3 from chests, and then the last 2 can be farmed off Sunlight Maggots. So we have 38,000 souls. That should be enough to let us wield our Zweihander finally. And we'll pick up another point of vitality. Start pumping points into faith as well. We're going to get that Divine Ember pretty soon. From the Moment of Truth. Weighs 4 more pounds than usual. I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. Well, that is a big boy sword right there. Nice, we can still fast roll with it. Much slower than the Claymore, but you can hear the effects as it hits things, that it's got a very heavy swing. It deals a ton of stamina damage and deals a ton of damage too. So this thing's going to be a monster going forward. You'll see that power attack is that huge overhead slam. Its one-handed attacks are even slower just because of the huge weight. One-handed power attack, similar move, less damage. And jumping attack is pretty standard. That's actually one of the fastest attacks, funnily enough. So now that we're out of souls and we have beaten the depths, you can go down there and open the Blighttown from that area next to Domnhall. But I don't want to do that because that's the hard way, really, to go about Blighttown. So instead, we're going to run back this way. So an unupgraded Zweihander does more damage than the +1 Claymore, which makes sense. It has more base damage. It's going to have better scaling as well. Let's see if we can also pick up this item that we left last time. I think it's a soul. But you'll see that guy lurking. Ah, I didn't dodge fast enough. Nice, didn't kill us. That's cool. That's a special attack that they use. If you don't have the Rusted Iron Ring when you come down here, you're going to move very slowly through here, so that makes it kind of hard to dodge. Man, the bad thing about this is we're going to need a lot of endurance or some stamina boosting gear because these swings are huge. And it has a horizontal attack pattern with its regular attacks. Not as good for corridors, but I found that the horizontal attacks are better for most of the bosses because you can miss some of the narrower hitboxes with vertical swings. We drop Soul of a Nameless Soldier. And we're back to where we started the depth at. We're going to have to deal with the Butcher again. Oh, maybe not. Maybe they don't respawn, I forgot. This is the way back in. If you jumped over there and were wondering how you get back up. This area is kind of annoying to fight the dogs in, though. I think one-handed swings are going to be enough, because we want to be able to dodge their attacks. Come on, man. I need to attack so we can rebound off my shield. And we can nail them with that. Fuck dogs, though, man. You want to try starting your attack animation just like right after they bounce off, because of the huge wind-up time for one-handed Y-handed attacks. Alright, man. Stop trying to strafe me. Definitely want to upgrade this weapon as soon as possible, though. Come on. And lock on targeted the hollows up here. So coming at them from this way, I think it lets them swarm you a little bit easier. So kind of take it slower. A weapon with good reach will make this easier. You see that forward or the power attack, it'll lay some enemies out if they're not too big. So we're good here. Get wrecked. Let's see, what are the rolling attacks for this? Same as the Claymore. That kind of, that lunge. The backstep attack is that big running forward attack. Has kind of a long recovery time. Useful if you're like just out of range and you want to get a little bit of power without having that wind up for the regular R1. But as you can see, this weapon's a monster, especially when upgraded. Once we send it to Divine, it'll get a damage bonus against a lot of the enemies too, and that's going to be super nice. I think the last thing we're going to do is just rest at the Firelink Shrine bonfire in preparation for the next episode, and then we'll get the rest of Laurentius's dialogue at the beginning of next time, and we'll also get the Pyromancy Flame, and probably equip that instead of our Talisman, because he was useful, but it's not that useful in a combat situation, so we'd rather have the Pyromancy Flame for extra damage output and a ranged option that's faster than the bow. If we need to heal mid-level, we can just equip the Talisman from our inventory. Hello, my friend. I don't know what triggers the move. What triggers Donald to move. He might be here right now. You can see him over here. I'll check from down below. Fortunately, our poise still isn't enough to take hits from these guys. It looks like he's not there yet, so I think he might have to beat Kolag or something like that. You'll see we don't get a whole lot of health back from our ring. But if you're just taking glancing hits throughout the level, it's better than nothing. And the blue tier stone ring is only useful if you have enough armor value to mitigate damage at low health. And since our vitality isn't really high enough to get a good bonus out of that, we'll save it for later. Is Petrus back yet? Nope. I don't think Petrus comes back until after you beat Pinwheel in the catacombs. And we'll see that. Okay. So I think this is where we're going to end today. I'll rest at this bonfire. I'm sorry about the commentary. I think it's kind of all over the place, but I'm a little bit sick. So that might be the reason. Hopefully next episode's going to be better, but Clear the Depths, not a super hard area if you know where to go and how to deal with the enemies. Got some cool NPC interactions too. But we'll save all the good stuff for next time, including Blighttown. Woohoo. So, until tomorrow, I will see you guys later.